I love small phones, and I recently did a long-term review of the iPhone 12 mini. In that video I suggested that you may buy one of these actually, the iPhone 13 mini, and since Vodafone offered to send one out, I thought I'd give it a proper review. So for £600 to £700, is potentially the last iPhone mini the one to get? Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, thanks to Vodafone for of course sending this out, and today is my review of the iPhone 13 mini in 2022. Spoiler alert. Yes, this phone is absolutely excellent, and if you want a mini iPhone, you should go and get one of these. It is the best in terms of the cameras, it is the best in terms of the power for the money, it's just great. Go and buy one if you are already sort of leaning that way. But also please watch the rest of my video. For those who don't know quite what the mini is, it's basically the same as the iPhone 13 but with a smaller case, same camera setup, similar screen pixel density, same processor, just a shrunken battery and the same kind of design. You get them in the same kind of colours and they charge at the same wattage. They are very similar. This means that the iPhone 13 mini is essentially a full fat flagship smartphone but just squidged down a bit. What that enables is some of the best processing power, some of the fastest sort of user experience, some of the best cameras, stuff like that. It's a real shame actually that Apple is dropping the mini because this is pretty much the only phone in its category at this size and with these features. It's a hair bigger than the outgoing SE or iPhone 8, yet it has a significantly better and larger OLED display and has the squared off corners of the iPhone 5S. It's kind of like a 5S Plus or a 2021 rendition of what the iPhone 5S would have been, and I know many people who love this design. One of my best friends, Morgan, went out and bought the iPhone 12 mini purely for this reason, and actually one of my good friends, Oscar, he really wants a mini smartphone because he's still using an iPhone 5S, if you can believe that. The screen is brighter on the 13 mini compared to the predecessor, that is something I noticed immediately, and the notch is also quite a bit smaller. This helps create a better feeling of quality. I don't think it makes a huge difference to me personally, but many have different opinions to me. The rails are really nice to hold on a smaller device like this. I don't really like the flat sides on the bigger models, but I'd use a case anyway. This lovely product red colorway looks stunning in my opinion, it really does pop and it feels very sturdy and solid in the hand. Typing may be a challenge for people who aren't used to the mini form factor, however after about a week you kind of get used to it. And performance is pretty solid, I experienced no hangs or crashes, but like my 12 mini, for some reason on the latest software update I'm getting a lot of app restarts when multitasking. So I'll give you a for instance, you're on Twitter, you suddenly switch to Reddit, use Reddit for a couple of minutes and then you swap back to Twitter, but it has to reload the application. There's plenty of RAM here and plenty of processing power, I don't know why it wouldn't keep it in RAM, but for some reason it just cuts it out of RAM. This is very likely due to the fact that Apple was facing some criticism on battery life of the mini earlier on, and so they may have tried to optimize that by just clearing out background applications such as Twitter in this for instance. And actually that's what it's doing, it's enabling better battery life, but obviously it just means that you're not able to keep stuff in RAM. This isn't the end of the world, but it is quite an annoyance. Speaking of battery life, I did find a small improvement with the 13 mini over my 12 mini. Nothing crazy though, this is still going to need topping up at lunch if you use your phone a lot and have it connected to say AirPods and an Apple Watch. My 13 mini got me through a full day, but then again I don't really use much on my smartphone, so I am not a power user by any stretch. I also don't play a ton of games and watch lots of content on my iPhone, and therefore I am sort of the customer for this. The iPhone minis are kind of built for me, someone who just really likes small smartphones and doesn't do a hell of a lot of multimedia consumption on their devices. If you do a lot of that, you kind of want to go with the Pro Max just because of the huge screen and the better sound quality, not to mention the added battery life. I really enjoyed the small size, as previously stated. When I'm walking or running, it's not a lot to hold on to in the hand, and when cycling I don't have to worry about it falling out of my pockets. It doesn't take up heaps of space on my desk, and I don't need to shimmy it in my hand to access parts of the screen when my other hand is in use. Get your mind out of the gutter. But there is one area in particular that I was really excited to use the 13 mini for, and that's the cameras. These are a significant improvement over those found in the 12 mini, the same basic focal lengths with the main and ultra wide, but you get much larger sensors and you also get the ability to shoot cinematic video. So let's break it down. The main camera's photo mode images look good. I'm still not the biggest fan of Apple's colour science with lifted shadows and flatter colours, but hey, they still look decent anyway. There's a lot of dynamic range and plenty of detail across the board. The ultra-wide camera's photo mode images also look good. There's a huge field of view with this one, so you get a lot in your shot, which is handy to have, but there's also plenty of sharpness and detail for basic social media shots. There are a few Android phones out there with better ultra-wide cameras, even the regular Find X5, which I reviewed recently. That said, this is still a good camera. Low light performance is pretty decent. It's definitely not the king of the jungle, but to be honest, it's up there with some of the better ones, and easily a 7.5 out of 10 in my opinion, if not an 8. Portrait mode shots look pretty decent with solid subject cutout. The only issue I have is that sometimes they kind of look green screened because there's not a lot of focus roll off, if you will. However, sometimes it looks good, so I don't know if it's just an issue with software. Standard video does look very good. I'm starting to come around to the iPhone video. There's enough contrast and colour in it for me to like, weirdly more than in the photo mode, but that could just be because you can't do as much HDR with video with something like this. Not to say that HDR isn't good, but I guess it's toned down a smidge in the video. But the cinematic mode, the portrait video if you will, is the star of the show. I happen to think that this looks fantastic coming from a phone of this size and price as well. It doesn't look perfect, and if you know what you're looking for, you will be able to see that it is sort of emulated in the smartphone, but I think it looks just convincing enough for the general public, and even with tricky subjects, does look solid. I'm excited to see where Apple goes with this actually. It was really good fun playing around with this feature. But if Apple does cut off the mini line, it is a sad day for us compact smartphone enthusiasts, you know? We've been around for ages, we really like the small smartphones, easy to get in the pocket, easy to walk around with, and sure, you know, you don't get an amazing battery life, but we don't use the smartphones all that much anyway, so it doesn't matter. It is a big shame. However, if of course they weren't selling enough, then it makes sense to cut that out of the lineup. I think next year I'm going to go for a 14 Pro. I'm kind of liking the idea of ProRes video, and sure, it's not the perfect form factor for me, but I think if I'm going to get a bigger smartphone, I would much rather go with the Pro than just the standard one. I kind of feel like, what's the point of having the standard one if there's the mini? It's a whole thing. Anyway, I want to thank Vodafone for sending this one out. It's a really good smartphone to buy, so it is the one I recommend if you can get a mini. If you can afford a slightly more expensive 13 mini, then maybe get that one, I would say, over the 12. It's just kind of better in a lot of areas, especially the screen brightness. That's something that I didn't think I'd notice, but actually it was quite apparent quite quickly. And of course the cameras and everything like that are really good on the 13 mini. So yeah, check out Vodafone's links in the video description to where you can buy it. Alternatively, of course, you can go to eBay. This isn't a full advertisement. They just send the smartphones out, and I try and tell you about good deals in the video descriptions. Please do like, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. Please do check out all my links in the video description, and I want to give a massive shout out to my patrons for being continually supportive, so thanks guys. With that, I've been Ryan Thomas, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Peace.